All right, I'm Jaffe. I lead business development over at a company called SubPac. So I'll just start just a quick show of hands. Does anybody know what a SubPac is and or have you used one before? Okay, so most of you, which is good. That's good. I guess it means I'm doing my job, at least semi-competently. So I'm here to talk to you about feeling. So reality is 5 senses. You know, we've got taste, touch, taste, touch, smell, seeing, and hearing. And to date, we're really only experiencing seeing and hearing in virtual reality and augmented reality. In order to bring that full physical sense of immersion to that, we need to add in more senses. And until someone's going to spoon feed you yogurt and hold a rose under your nose, we're not going to be really getting the smell and taste of it. So in order to add that third sense that pushes it over the edge, feeling is believing when it comes to VR. So sound is physical. In real life, we experience, sound is physical. In real life, we experience sound with our entire bodies, not just with our ears. So you can see our little guy here, he's experiencing sound with his whole body. If you're speaking with someone, if you're standing on the street, your body is being assaulted by sound waves, by energy. You're not just experiencing sound with your ears. And right now, most people are experiencing VR just with headphones on or speakers around them. So the audio is confusing to the brain because that's not how we experience sound in real life. So you've got this guy, see, he doesn't feel there. That takes the sense of presence away from a virtual experience because naturally the brain feels differently when it's not experiencing audio as it would in real life. So with SubPac, look, he's there. Nothing's missing. You're actually able to feel low frequencies from 130 hertz to 5 hertz. And I will demonstrate right now. That's actually what one of the PACs looks like. That's an M2. So we transfer low frequencies to the body. Bass frequencies, things that are from 130 hertz down to 5 hertz, are generally able to be felt. When you get below about 40 hertz, that's into the inaudible range, depending on how deaf you are or how many concerts you've been to, like me. You're going to be able to feel more than you'd actually be able to hear just by using headphones. So you're actually able to experience as though you were standing in front of the most pristine audio system in the world, but with a pure reference point. It's going to sound and feel the same as it would as though you were standing right in front of the main stage at Coachella or EDC or something like that. And that's the world that we come from. We started out trying to bring that physical sensation without damaging your hearing to people in your own homes. So from the creator all the way to the consumer. So like I said, sound is physical. In order to be fully immersed, you actually have to feel audio. And the thing about SubPac that's great is that we're not asking you to do anything additional to what you're doing in creating your experiences. We're not telling you need an SDK. It's a plug-and-play system, and we use the existing audio of your content and transfer that into the user. So if you're creating something, you can use the SubPac actually as a professional reference tool to understand your low-end mix better. So you don't need to do anything other than have good sound design, which is something hopefully everyone strives for to begin with in their content. But this allows you to have a better understanding of that low-end mix without having to have a really expensive subsystem and one that's noisy. A pack is actually silent relatively to the outside world. So if you're up late coding, creating an experience late at night, you're actually able to get a pure reference, whether you're on an airplane or in a cupboard under the stairs, that takes your mix to the next level. So bass is essentially the hardest thing to mix in any sort of audio environment because of the physics involved. There's so many variables: the shape of a room, how many people are in the room, the size of the room, what furniture is in the room, which is why people spend tens of thousands of dollars treating a room so that they can eliminate as many of those variables as possible. With SubPac, you're actually able to get rid of all of those variables entirely because there's no gap between the sound and your body. We're actually just closing that gap, whereas normally a bass wave has huge wavelength, so you have to have that distance travel between the sound and your ear, which makes it more difficult to understand the mix. You're actually able to feel more things in the mix than you would if you were just listening to it or watching it on a spectral analyzer. And like I said, it's plug and play, so when it comes to consumer experiences and people who are consuming this content that you're creating, it's just going to work because you already have bass in your experience. So whether you're having like a first-person shooter style experience, or especially for music videos, you're actually going to have a better sense of presence and actually be able to physically reach out and touch the people who are experiencing what you've created, which is a really compelling thing for a lot of people, whatever type of creator you are. I speak to a lot of different people who create content on all different levels, from music producers to people who are making games in VR, and almost universally, the response when they use a pack versus when they don't in their experiences is that the people who are experiencing it feel more connected to the experience because they're physically being touched by the audio like they would in real life. So it gives them that, oh yeah, something in the lizard brain, the primal instincts that we have as humans makes bass exciting to us. The things that were very, very common, and exciting and dangerous: thunder, earthquakes, volcanic eruption, a stampede, things that were dangerous and that early humans had to escape in order to survive. That was all bass. That's something that excites the primal instincts in us. So when you add that into something that you've created, it activates those primal instincts and naturally gets someone more excited. So we started, a lot of people ask the difference between haptics and what we do. And as the gentleman before me was speaking, was talking about user experience and the importance of haptic audio, I would agree with him wholeheartedly. The difference between what we do and what other people have done previously and what we're trying to continue to convey is that we're a high fidelity system. We come from the pro audio world. We started working with some of the biggest music producers, sound engineers, everyone from Grammy Award winners to the top of the underground. They support what we do because we solved a huge problem for them. They don't have to have a $20,000 treated room. They don't have to have a $10,000 subsystem. They can sit on an airplane with a nice pair of headphones, or in their hotel room, or backstage at a show, and finish a mix that they were working on and know that it's club ready. So by having that group of people helping us to develop the product and to bring it into a fully formed state, that's been a huge benefit to us because it's allowed us to go to other creators, like people in the VR world, and actually provide a tool that's not just a gimmick, I guess you could say. There's a lot of people who have an experience go, oh, this is just going to be a silly vibration. But no, it's actual pure physical sound energy. So haptics implies something that's binary. You've got to code in an audio event into your middleware or your SDK so that when this thing happens, this motor is going to vibrate. This is actual sound energy. So it's like the low-end mix on your LFE channel, essentially. But just we capture the 130 to 5, and we pass them through, cross them over onto the pack, and everything else goes through into the headphones. So there's two models: wearable, seated, and quite. We enhance everything. I actually didn't make this presentation, so apologies for the French in there. So it works out of the box, no SDKs, and like I said, it completes the VR experience. And yes, it will make your stuff better. So it enhances it, as I've talked about. This is just some of the stuff that we've done previously. I think down there in the bottom left, we've worked with Adrian Grenier on his Lonely Whale project. We're working with Run the Jewels to bring out all of their VRTJ stuff, and the music video Crown that you can watch on Weaver, which is really amazing if you haven't watched that. Here's like one of the first projects that we worked on in the VR world. I'm sure many of you have seen the Jurassic World Apatosaurus experience. Felix and Paul used SubPacs when they were designing this experience to actually have it optimized for SubPac. So I don't know how many of you have done this with a SubPac, but it's night and day between with and without, because the experience was actually designed to feel the dinosaur stomping around and breathing on you. And it's a completely different experience. I've had people who've done it with and without, and somebody came over to me the other day and said that it was like they did it for the first time, even though they had done it 100 times before. Another really cool project that we've been involved with is In the Eyes of the Animal by Marshmallow Laser Feast. If you haven't seen that, it's been making the rounds at a lot of the VR film festivals. It's absolutely incredible. Puts you essentially in the driver's seat of a bunch of different creatures. Odyssey VR was another really cool one, as you can see. This was another one out of the UK, and currently we're partnering with these guys called The Wave, who you've probably heard of. They're making some big waves in the music VR space. If you don't know what it is, it's essentially like a tilt brush for music. So you're able to perform in live audio reactive environments, DJing in full 360 or change to the crowd, and it's recreating like sort of a psychedelic live VR environment. And it's really awesome. You can come by and try it at their booth, but they're using packs because that adds the physical presence that you would get at a live show. And I'll leave that with feeling is believing, which is what we say. And if anybody has any questions or wants to try the pack, I'm in there at 9:01, and I've got one here if you're interested. But thanks for listening.